You, yay! I'm happy to see your face.
What's up? Nice to see your face as well.
I'm so happy. It's been a minute. Although we've stayed in touch like over the course of the year, and some magical things that have happened in your life.
You send me all these incredible gifts. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Are you guys in LA? Are you guys somewhere else?
I'm in LA right now. My wife is in Utah. She's actually filming a television show, like a puppet show for kids, where she is one of two real people in the show.
Oh, so everyone else is a puppet, but she gets to be a human.
Exactly. So I just got back and visited her and saw the sets, and the puppets are incredible. And so that was a really fun trip. And then we got a chance to go to Bryce Canyon as well.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Have you been there?
It's stunning.
Yeah, right?
It's stunning. It's such a magical place. I feel like there's a vortex there. You know, there's like places in Utah and places in Arizona, like Sedona, where you just feel the energy of the earth and of Mother Nature, like of the universe there. Like there's just vortexes. So I feel like Bryce Canyon is one of those places.
For sure. Yeah, we got a chance to do a 6-mile hike where you basically, climb down into a canyon, and then you enter this, it's not a cave, but the walls are so close that you have to go in like this, and you squeeze your way through. And it was like a really long hike like that. Wow. And it was really special to be surrounded by nature like that and to have that experience.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful. It's just one of the most, we forget, I think, especially those of us that live in very urban cities, even though we have nature right here, like at the beach right here, and we can do these incredible hikes like that are just right here behind us in Topanga. But I think sometimes we need a reminder of how healing Mother Nature can be, and all you have to do is just like drop into her, And I think that that's one of the most beautiful things about what you do, just like your art and your gift and the light that you share with the world through your poetry, through your writing, is that you help us, you help the audiences just kind of like disconnect and drop back into, the energy around us. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. And thank you.
I'm just, it's a very kind thing you said, but I'm doing it for myself first. I'm like the first person in my audience.
Yeah.
And so when I'm writing, I am exploring my own human experience and reminding myself of the life that I want to live. And then when I'm sharing, it's almost like I am manifesting that out loud while I'm being witnessed. So I'm glad that it does that for other people, but it also does that for
me. And thank you for sharing that. I think that's helpful to a lot of people. We've already had a few people say your poems are such an inspiration, and how you connect to that. And I'm wondering if there's something that you can share. Everyone has their own process, of course, right? But the title here is Journey to the Center of Your Soul. And before we talked about healing from within. And I think that that's something that a lot of people here would benefit from. Just, it may not be exactly the same process for them, but just like, how do you go within? How do you connect to the center of your soul so that you can express and allow yourself to heal? So I think that's something that a lot of people, especially with 2020 and the pandemic and everything around it, there are a lot of people that are trying to figure out how to express that within themselves.
Do you mean like specific practices that I do?
Yeah, like is there a specific practice, or just like what's your sort of like what's your ritual, or what's your practice? And again, to each, everyone does it their way, but I think it gives inspiration. Sort of like when someone asks me what my morning ritual is from like a health perspective, the things that I do. It may not resonate with everybody, but it gives some insight into what works for me, why I do what I do, and I think that helps inspire people.
Sure. I'm doing everything from cold showers to meditations,
yeah,
intermittent fasting, to yoga, to whatever really I can get my hands on. But if I was to say something that's most top of mind right now,
yeah,
I've been just like reframing how I look at every day.
yeah.
Because I feel like oftentimes I wake up and I take the day for granted.
Mm.
And so I've been very consciously, after I open up my eyes, saying to myself, today is going to be a grand adventure.
I like that.
And I think that that's an interesting way to approach your day, because then anything that happens is a part of a grand adventure. And it doesn't matter, by the way, if it's good or bad, other than the feelings that you have around that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are real things that happen in the world that are good, and there are real things that happen in the world that are bad.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is it's all part of your adventure.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way. I know that some things are harder to see in that frame than others. And I can't speak on other people's circumstances, but I can just speak on mine.
Mm-hmm.
And if I look at everything like, wow, this is a journey. Like my whole entire life is being lived in this one day. And everything that happens to me is a part of my story.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's exciting rather than exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a good reframe, and just a simple thing to do. I almost forgot to put your book out. I know that we're going to talk about your podcast, but there's a lot of people. I just realized it's been like a year since I've been doing these, and there are some people that have been here for a year, and so they've met you before. But there are a lot of new people on here, and I was wondering if you could share a little bit about your book. I know we're going to talk about the podcast, but I would love if you could. I was trying to explain to them how cool your cover was and how it's like the lungs with the tree. I'm like, no. Let me let him explain it. It'll come.
Okay, well, I actually have the book here too, and so I can easily explain it to everybody. So This is the book, and if you see, there's the branches and the roots, and if you turn it upside down, the roots become the branches, and the branches become the roots. And if you turn it to the side, it's lungs. And that's why the two halves of the book are inhale and exhale. Inhale is like the personal stories and poems about my life journey. And then exhale is the social and political stuff. So it's change yourself, change the world.
I love that. And it's such a good reminder, even now, and I feel like always, if you can work on yourself and heal yourself, then that's you are in a way like healing the world too, just from your contribution, right?
Yeah, that's why I was talking about that reframing earlier, because there's all sorts of unconscious frames that we have on our lives. Like if you were to compartmentalize your lives, and I'm not like a self-help person at all. I'm just an artist that talks shit and shares the lessons that I'm learning. But if I was to compartmentalize my life, let's say that, there's different areas. Oh, look at your cute dog in the background.
Oh my God, he is my buddy.
What's up?
This is good. He's my co-host. See?
Oh, wow. You're such a good co-host. He's so in the moment.
He is. He's the best.
He's not worried about what we think about him.
He's doing his thing. He brings his energy and his light and his love.
Isn't it weird that God backwards is dog?
It's not weird, actually. But, yeah.
Because a dog is always present. A dog is fully in the moment, which is the most God you can get.
It is. It's so true.
Anyway, okay, so I was talking about compartmentalization. So if I'm to compartmentalize my life into categories, there's like, my art, there's my finances, there's my environment, like living experience, circumstances, there is my friendships, there is my family, there is my romantic relationship, which is my primary relationship, And oftentimes, I think we look at these things almost as like echoes from the past. We're not quite looking at them where they are.
Right.
We're often looking at them from our trauma of them in the past. And so then in that way, we're kind of living in this like earthquake of anxiety. When in reality, if I was to look at like all of these different areas of my life that I still try to hold on to and control because of, you know, where I came from and my perspective on these compartmentalized areas of my life, I mean, my life is incredible. And I've worked really hard to get it here.
Yeah.
And yet still sometimes I look at it from that standpoint of like fear. You know, oh, what if I can't hold on to it? Or I have expectations for so much more, which just leads to attachment and suffering and stuff. So it's the combination of how can I make a goal and strive towards it without being attached to my expectations, which robs my joy of the experience. And also, how can I look at these parts of my life from here and now rather than, you know, some past that isn't serving me anymore.
It's such a good point, and again, such a good reminder. You know, before you jumped on, I did an introduction, and I was able to share all the incredible things you've done and all your accolades. But if you wouldn't mind just giving some of the audience a little bit of background into your journey, you know, like how you got to where you are now, and why it is like just why what you said resonates so deeply, you know, that like you look around, wow, life is really incredible. Just for the people that may not know you, though, I can see that there are a lot of people that are already epic fans of yours who are like, I can listen to you every single day. That's wonderful. So just to give everyone sort of a backstory.
I was born and raised in Santa Monica, California. My mom's a school teacher. My father was not around at all. And I fell in love with hip hop when I was like probably 13 years old. And started freestyling and writing verses and doing songs. And then when I was 19, I wound up in an open mic for poets in Los Angeles called the Poetry Lounge. Big shout out to the Poetry Lounge. And it was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, open mics in the country. And I just fell in love. I got on stage. I started doing my rapping a cappella, and people responded. And over the years, I was on HBO's Def Poetry Jam, and our team won the National Poetry Slam Championships. And I woke up one day and I realized I was more of a poet than an MC. And then I started to build that part of my career and that part of my art a little bit more consciously.
And really, you've been such and I know I've said this to you, maybe just like offline on text, but really you've been such a powerful voice in such a big way. Like you've inspired me. I mean, so often I see what you write and I'm like, right here. That's what you just gave my heart voice, you know, with what you said. So, you know, I know that you shared kind of like the 4 parts of your book, but would you mind just kind of giving anyone who maybe doesn't have your book? And by the way, you guys, if you go to the very bottom here of the comment that I pinned, that's in Q's Instagram account. So make sure you go and you follow him, and you'll be able to get links to the book, where you can get the book, which is everywhere, and also to his new podcast that we're going to dive into momentarily.
You're so nice. You have such a good, like, nice vibe. Like, you just have good energy even through, you know, the screen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, you know what? I received that, and thank you. But I also think I'm really blessed because I get to have people like you on here. And so it's so easy to have an exchange of beautiful energy with a beautiful soul. So I, you know, thank you for that. But let's dive into your book a little bit before we dive into the podcast. So for the people that don't have the book yet, I encourage everyone to get it. They'll have a little bit of a sample of what they'll find inside.
Sure. Do you want me to read something, or do you want me to tell them about the book?
Let's see. What would you guys like? Let's hear from the audience. Do you guys want to just hear about the book? Do you guys want
you guys can decide.
To read something? I see hearts. Tell me what your hearts mean. Do you guys want a sample? Let's see. Is it a sample? I'm getting hearts on the sample. Okay. So, heart prayer for the
Let's
sample.
See. I'm just gonna pick a random page.
Sample. Read. I see read. Okay.
I'm gonna pick a random page. Okay.
Read. Okay, great.
Random. Okay, here we go. Oh wow, say yes. Done this poem so many times. I was like, I'll do something random, and then, you know what? Can I do something new?
Totally. Everyone's like, we want both. both. We'll get at least the read right now.
Okay, but the book is dope, so you should get the book. But it's more fun for me when I can do some stuff that I'm still working on, you know?
Yeah. Okay, for sure. Let's do. You guys, we're getting new material right now. This is ultra special. I mean, it was already special, but we're like next level special right now.
Oh, you're so nice. Okay. I've heard a goldfish will only get as big as its bowl. But when you put it in a tank, the space can change the way it grows. It needs to have the room where its potential doesn't show, so its environment's essential for unleashing the unknown. I ponder if it knows that it could grow beyond the bowl, that it could have a pond the size of an Olympic swimming pool, that the world is so much larger than the boundaries that it's known. Somehow I empathize with this little golden soul. Because I too have unexplored and unexpressed goals that were suppressed by an environment I couldn't control. Am I still playing small because it's all that I've known when there's a giant in my bones that I'm not sure I've ever shown? I ask myself this question when I'm purposely alone. When my body grows to take up all the rooms inside my home, I expand in all directions, every single inch consumed. I'm 1,000,000 feet tall now, my head over the moon. I look down on the earth as it slowly spins around. I look down on the countries and the cities and the towns. I look down on the square blocks and buildings all around. I look down on my street and rip the roof right off my house. I look down on myself sitting writing on my couch. Look, I barely pay attention. I'm the one that's looking down. How unaware I am of where I am. It's profound. So I put the roof back on and shrink myself back to the ground. It's crazy how I fit infinity inside my doubts, how I stuff the universe into the tiniest amounts, how I speak into existence but forget what I'm about, how I keep the solar system in the corner of my mouth. And most days I'm not sure which side of the glass I've been on. I win a Grammy in the shower every time I sing a song. But when the spotlight is on, my first instinct's to run. I have to super glue my feet to even tell you where I'm from. I've been training for the quarantine since I was very young. For an introvert, it slightly hurts to tell you that they'll come. I would rather get into a staring contest with the sun, although I'll never see who fucking won. It's nature and it's nurture, twisting into jungle life, fighting the competition, branching out to reach the light. I tried to listen, but could only hear my ancient heart. It screamed at me to make my life into my greatest art. But where to start? My walls are keeping people out and keeping people in. I guess it's good to know where someone ends and someone else begins. But our boundaries become prisons when we see what could have been. The biggest goldfish ever measured 18 inches snout to fin.
Wow. I loved it. I think everyone loved it. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow.
I wrote it because I was at my cousin's house and she has a little pond in her backyard, very small, and she had all these huge fish in it. You know, I thought they were koi fish. So I said, oh, wow, when did you get koi fish? And she said, no, those are goldfish. And I was like, how are they goldfish? Because I've only seen or had goldfish when I was a kid. They were like 2 inches, you know? Mm-hmm. And she said goldfish change their size based on their environment. Mm. And I thought, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
You know? So then I wrote it.
So good, so good. And I'm just speaking for the audience here. So I don't know if you're seeing all these messages and all these hearts. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Yes, I agree. Tiffany Tucker.
What up,
so
Tiffany?
So lucky to hear this today. Oh, you know Tiffany, oh good.
Yeah.
Tiffany. Thank you so much. That was just beautiful and profound. And again,
what did it make you think of for yourself?
It was just such a good reminder because I do the same. You know what you were saying about how we say one thing but we think another, and we keep ourselves, we kind of keep ourselves small, and the fear of that. And it was just such a reminder that I can be as expansive as I want to be, and my goal is just what I perceive of it, because there is none. That's kind of what I took from it.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think, the goal can also be, as you're saying, your perspective.
Yeah.
So it's just supposed to go wherever it goes for whoever listens to it. That's why I don't really have like a specific moral or goal that I want people to feel when they're reading my poetry or listening to me. I just want them to find the moral for themselves or the goal for themselves. So wherever that spark, catches fire, it's a good thing.
Yeah, someone made a beautiful share here, made me think of how I'm currently trying to change my life to match the soul I was born with. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Another one, your environment should not determine your destiny. That's another beautiful share, And I think the title of our theme, or our title of our talk, Journey to the Center of Your Soul, I think that's really what your art and your poetry, your songs, your writing, that's what it does for me. And I feel like that's what it does for a lot of those of us who get to hear it or read it. Kind of circles me back to being present.
Well, that's a really nice compliment. I think that's why I even started the podcast in the first place, is because, for years people have been saying, do a podcast.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear you do a podcast. Even the people on my team were like, we should do a podcast. And I just never was really interested in it. I've gone on so many podcasts over the years, and I've always enjoyed the experience, but I never felt like doing it myself. And I think it was because I couldn't figure out what I wanted it to be about. And then I realized I should just make it about poetry. Why am I looking so far outside of myself to figure out what this podcast as a theme should be? It should just be about the poets that have inspired me. And so I was just referring to what you were saying, because what you were saying about my work, there's a lot of other people that have done that for me as well. And so I want to kind of give them a platform to shine and to explore their art in a deeper way that even I, as friends of these artists, don't normally get a chance, to ask them specific questions about what their process is and how they got to be who they are.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. So can you share with us, without revealing too much, I know that you've already had a few people on, can you share with us some of the artists, the poets, that you've already, the beautiful souls that you've already had on, and who we might expect to hear on the podcast?
Yeah, so the first episode was with Atticus. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Atticus's work, but he's an incredible poet and a New York Times best-selling author 3 times over. and a good friend. So we had a really, really deep conversation about his life and his art and what made him into the poet that he is. And also, he wears a mask and he's anonymous when he writes, or pseudo-anonymous. Yeah. And so we talked a lot about the masks that we wear, why he's wearing it, and what that means for him in his life. I mean, for him, I think, I don't want to like speak for him, but what I got from the podcast was that he wanted to protect himself from the trappings of fame and didn't want to lose connection to the true voice that was creating the art in the first place. So we talked about celebrity, but then we also talked about the masks that we're wearing in our normal lives that we actually do need to take off. And then the second episode is with Jessica Salgado, who's an unbelievable poet. And I mean, her bio is, down to there, but she has a bunch of different books. And oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, Gizmo's coughing. I'm so sorry.
Don't apologize for his cough. His cough is perfect.
Okay, you okay?
He's dehydrated. I feel like I've been dehydrated since Donald Trump got into office, really. I mean, I feel like I've been dehydrated for years.
It's one of the things I talk about all the time. Hydration. Stay hydrated.
Yeah. Okay, so here, I'll do it too. Here we go.
Yeah, so there's Giz. He's
What's up, Giz?
He likes to be, he's blessing the book. So
thank you.
He likes to be
So Jessica and I just had an amazing episode that's out. But then I have a lot of other people coming up: Ali Michelle, Najwa Zabian, Rudy Francisco, Humble the Poet and I are about to record one. So these are just all the people that are inspiring me. And there's a countless list of really incredible, moving, important poets that are out there. And, it's just the beginning of the podcast, but I'm excited to keep exploring.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for you. And, thank you for coming on here to share about it. When I saw your post, I was like, do you want to tell everyone on my platform about it? Because I think it'll be just such an inspiration. And I think that, as always, when I bring people on or share anything, whether it's a book or a podcast, these are just all tools for our soul. And I just feel, and I can't wait to dive into all your guests. I just feel the podcast is just another tool for our soul, for all of us out there.
And by the way, thank you for inviting me on, because I'm not great at promotion or marketing. It's like the least thing I'm good at and the least thing that I like doing. But I do love chatting with people and connecting with them and exposing the art to larger audiences. So you were doing me a favor by saying, let's do something, and then I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you're so welcome. You know what? I understand that. It's uncomfortable for me to really kind of promote myself, but I love promoting other people. I find so much joy in showing the magic that someone brings and the light that they bring to the world. And so, that's something that I truly enjoy, and I feel that it always brings so much, just like inspiration. It brings so much to anyone listening, whether it's my audience or yours. And so it's a privilege to be able to share your light and your magic. And we got a little bit of a taste of some new work that you're, and is that something that is that going into another book, your most recent poem about the goldfish, or is that somewhere?
I don't know where it wants to go yet.
Well, then we're very lucky, because we just got to hear it, you guys.
Well, it's also, maybe it needs to live a little bit.
Yeah.
It needs to, but I could totally put it in a book. I could put it in a show. I could do a video with it. There's lots of different, I think that would actually be a really cool animation video.
Yeah, actually, an animation video would be super cool, because it's so timely, not just from last year, but as we continue into this year, and it seems to be constantly changing. And I know that in LA things are opening back up, but I have some friends in Ontario and in Canada, and things are very much the opposite for them. And so it's kind of like, an ever evolving situation. So I feel like that'd be amazing to do like an animation like this.
Yeah, it's a crazy time to be alive. There's no doubt about it. And I, my positivity and optimism is a choice.
100%.
So
I hear you.
Yeah, and I have to make that for myself, before I try to make it for anyone else, which I would never do. But there's a lot going on in the world right now. There are some real issues that hopefully we're going to address as we move back into opening up the world. I think it'll be interesting because I think we learned a lot from stopping. Like at least everyone that I've talked to, the stopping their normal routines taught them a lot about themselves. But I don't know that we're aware of how much starting back up is going to teach us as well, because we've had such a comparison point. So it'll be interesting to go back out into the world and see how we've changed and see how it's changed.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the pause was in so many ways just like a really beautiful reset for people, for the world, for our earth. But I also think that, as you say, like going back into or moving forward, because we're not going back, we're moving forward. I think it's good to be mindful that it's to not have expectations that things go back, to a time before 2020, that we are moving forward into a different paradigm, a different shift, a different perspective with even more knowledge and awareness than we had before last year. And so I think being really gentle with ourselves, but also gentle with everyone around us, because everyone's kind of acclimating and learning and sort of integrating on their own pace. So, I think that just being really gentle, and mindful of that is what I've been telling myself and others.
I agree. Yeah, that's definitely the best strategy.
So there was a question here. I don't know if you see it, but they said someone asked, it was a poet, asked about your process on your podcast. They just want to understand I know your audience goes beyond fellow poets, but I think everyone would appreciate hearing how your work unfolds. So do you have other people on that aren't artists and poets? Or is
Not yet. I think at a certain point I will, but for the first year, I just want to have poets on. And then I think I'll probably expand to poets and artists.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think I'll probably move into authors, or not that authors aren't artists, they are, but more specifically authors and then just anyone. I would love to. I mean, I'm fascinated by people. I really am. And I'm very used to getting interviewed, but in life, I interview. Like in life, I'm always asking questions to everyone about, their life and who they are and why they're doing what they're doing. And so this has really kind of been a natural fit for me to start the podcast. I was like a little bit like, I don't know if I'll be good at it. And then right away, I was like, no, this is great. It's really fun. I'm enjoying it. And so the real answer is no. I'm going to spotlight poets for a while, but eventually I'm going to bring other people in. And my process for the podcast is I have, researched questions that I'm asking the guest that are tailored specifically to them and their style, because I think that helps to clear the narrative of them,
Yeah.
And then I like to go branch out in a bunch of different directions around those questions that I have. And that's been kind of what I've done so far, and that's been great.
That's beautiful. I'm super excited to dive into it. And then the question was followed up with, do you ever, your process when you write? So I think
Yeah, the process when I write is I just pay attention to when I'm inspired or when I'm pissed off or when I'm moved. And I will always start the poem in a place of truth. And if I start the poem in a place of truth, if I give it enough time and space, the poem will almost write itself. What's up, Kaylin?
Hi, Kaylin.
Yeah, so that's really my process for writing, is paying attention. You know, people will say, where do you get your inspiration from? And my response is, if you're not inspired by life, you're not paying attention. So you have to train yourself to pay attention and to build the awareness muscle of what specifically sparks you. And then you can put that out into any art form that you're doing.
Agreed.
I mean, if you think about it, like I'm a really shitty painter, right? I'm horrible. Like art, anything, I'm really bad. But if I was to go up to a blank canvas and think, what do I want to make? It would be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because it's just infinite possibilities, not in a good way, in a intimidating way, where I'm like, I don't know what. But imagine if I was to say, okay, what's really bothering me right now in my life? Or what's really exciting me? What am I really passionate about? Or what is the last issue that I had in a personal relationship? Or what is my dream for this part of my life right now? And once you get something that's moving and meaningful to you, then I'll actually be able to start to paint. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But at least I have a roadmap to get out something that is inside of me that means something to me. So it's the same thing for poetry, you know, or for any art form.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can see that resonates with me. I can see how that applies in my practice, you know, and like how I do life out, what inspired me, and like my purpose. And something that I teach my community or like my clients is like your body speaks to you, you know. And so I tell people to like connect to something that moves you, as you say, whether it's something you're super grateful for, you're excited about, maybe something that you're angry about or sad or whatever emotion it is that you're connecting to. And at some point, like there's some almost like a visceral response, you know, like your body reacts to it in some way. Like you can think a thought, but there's something that will actually make your whole body warm up, or you have some sort of response. And I feel that those are the things I focus on. You know, if I'm going through like, what do I want to work on? What do I want to create next for this, or what excites me, or what do I feel like I need to work on internally? You know, it's like what elicits that kind of response within me, and that's where I want to focus my attention to. I don't know if that makes a ton of sense.
It does. What do you do once you notice it, though? Like, what's your process for? Are you trying to release it? Are you trying to just be aware that it's there? I mean, what's your?
So I think it depends, you know, like if I'm focusing on something that like is maybe exciting, something that I want to create, if I'm trying to get inspiration for, let's say, a project that I'm working on, like, well, how are we going to create this, the next steps? I literally like feel into it. And then if I feel like a response, like I feel myself smile, I feel my heart rate like change, that's where I know I need to focus on. And then I literally put my thoughts and my energy towards that, and then things start coming to me. Now, let's say it's something that maybe hurts me, you know, let's say it's something that upset me. I do the same. Like I sit there, I'm like, okay, is this like an ego thing? Is this really hurting me from like a deeper place, or is this like an ego response to that? If it's an ego response, I don't necessarily have like a visceral response necessarily. I feel it's more, if an ego response, it's here. If it's deeper, I feel it here. You know, like something almost hurt me. And then I kind of like, okay, now why did I feel that? Like, what is it? What is that triggering within me? And then I kind of go deeper and deeper, and then heal from that. For example, maybe about a month ago, like 5-6 weeks ago, maybe I started releasing these videos that we had done with the Icon Media team. And the first couple of videos, I mean, I just got so many hate comments. I never experienced that. I never, really beautiful, kind people that come on here rarely get mean messages. And it was reposted on someone else's account. It was reposted on Jay Shetty's account. And I got so many mean messages about how I looked and my eyes and all of these things. And it was hard, at first to feel that. And then I thought, okay, why? Because if I'm in a place of peace, if I am practicing everything that I teach, then I am unfeathered, like I'm in my sovereign energy and I'm at peace and I'm good no matter what's being said. And it was such a good reminder that if this was ungrounding me, this was upsetting, then I needed to dive into it. And I realized there were triggers from it, from past wounds that I thought I had resolved. Time had passed, hadn't thought about those things, but it was still, it wasn't fully healed. And so for me, like, and I do different things, obviously, like I would dive into how I healed that particular wound, whether it's a modality with breath work or thoughts meditation, or whether I put my own practice of culinary alchemy into it. Like, is that a wound in my heart chakra? Is that a wound in my sacral? Where is that trauma or that wound from? And then I nourish that area. So I use food, obviously, but I use energy, and I use the different practices I share. So that's something that I've done there. But then that becomes a creation that I can now teach and share to someone else, whether it's a client or now an audience who's like, this is what I learned, and I turn it into something else. So I don't know if that entirely answered your question.
No, it does. I mean, yeah, you're basically like experimenting on yourself in a really good way. And then the findings you wind up sharing with other people when they're helpful.
Yeah. But it's sort of like what you're just diving into, but what elicits that response for me, like what makes my breath go faster?
Yeah, which is exactly what I was talking about, but certainly from a different angle. I mean, first of all, fuck.
But exactly what you're talking about.
That we're being mean to you. I mean, it's so crazy that as soon as I got on, I saw a dude. I assumed it was a guy. It might not be, but it was one person. And
the emojis,
the
right?
fingers. They did the fingers emoji, like that. And I just thought, what in the world is going on in your life? Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stuff that you could do that about. Like, real stuff. Like, if you wanted to take your anger out, you could do it in a super constructive way. But like, why would you do that to you or to me? I'm like, what's the thing behind that? That you're, and does that really make you feel better? Like, do you get a little hit off of that? Like, I got to be mean to someone that I've never met that's halfway across the country or the world. And, it's like, okay, but it's much harder to create than it is to hate. Hating is easy. Try taking that hate and transforming it into something that you create that makes your life better or the world better or someone immediately around you better. So whoever was doing that to you has much bigger issues to deal with. The second part of what I wanted to say is, of course it's going to hurt your feelings. It's like, we're not made for this. Our bodies are, I'm not even talking about us in the past. I'm talking about humanity.
Yeah, we're made for life.
Our drive is it has not evolved very much. And we're used to hunter and gatherer communities. And if the tribe kicked you out of the community, you would die.
Yeah.
So it's like, now all of a sudden you come on and instead of 100 people, it's, 636 souls. Hello, love you guys. Hope you're doing well. 637. Or you put out a video and it's 100,000 people's opinions. that you've never met. You know, maybe the people that are talking the most shit are just the loudest, but they're only 0.5%. And you see that and you think you're getting kicked out of the tribe. You start considering your whole life. Am I doing good? Am I a good person? What was I doing? Did I do something wrong? It's like these are all normal. So it's like I know that they come from triggers from our past as well. But I just wanted to make that point that, like, yeah, if a bunch of people are saying mean things to you and you're not affected by it, you might be a psychopath.
That's true. It's only human to respond to that.
Yes. But then also you can then say, okay, but I know what it is and I'm not going to give it any power.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to focus on it, or I'm not even going to read it. Like, if I put out a controversial video, and by controversial I mean it's real to me and I believe what I'm saying, but I know also that people have very intense opposite opinions, I just don't even read it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing constructive that's going to come out of that from me. I'm down to have like a real conversation with someone who disagrees with me.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
You know, I don't give power to that stuff.
Yeah, no, and it's and you're so right. And it was, you know, it was sort of like, okay, what am I going to take from this? Learn about me, feel about me. But the bigger message is what I had to, what I had to share, what you have to share holds so much value. And the purpose, at least in, the mission here, the purpose is to help, help other people in the ways that we know how, and to put that light out there and to hold that space, for the people that can't hold the space or don't know how. So yeah. So thank you. I'm always so inspired by you, and I'm so grateful that you're doing this podcast so that we can another tool of inspiration for myself and for all of us, not just the 600 some people here, but just for the world. And so just so grateful to you, and congratulations. I'm finally able to say it to your face. Congratulations on the engagement, on the wedding, on all the beautiful things. I think you had a new home too, right, in the last year?
No, we got beat out on the house. The market in LA is so insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for saying that. And by the way, I saw somebody ask about the podcast or the book. By the way, all you have to do is, if you go to my Instagram, there's a link tree.
Yes.
And you can go to the Spotify or the Apple, or you can buy it on Amazon or the local bookstores. And so that's easy. But the podcast is called Inquire Within with NQ.
Yeah, and you guys, I know that there's some people that said you just ordered the book. Definitely go if you don't have the book yet. And okay, I'm going to try not to disturb Gizmo. But if you don't have the book yet, you have to go get this book. It's a beautiful book, and it's something that you're going to keep like bedside, So get the book and get on the podcast. And I'm excited to see you guys soon. And thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much for having me. We'll meet up in person sooner than later.
Yes, I would love that. I'll message you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.